Check, 1, 2, 3, check. Check, 1, 2, 3. Check, 1, 2, 3, check. Hello, YouTube. It's been a while since my last video. Probably time for an update. Last season, I got to fly the Cessna Caravan for Seaplanes out of Vancouver. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you all about my experience and a little bit about a project I've been working on for the last year. Ready? Here we go. If you are not familiar with Seaplanes, they are a seaplane operation in Vancouver which flies off the river beside Vancouver International Airport. If you're interested, Charlie Alpha Mike 9 is the identifier for the seaplane base. It's actually inside Vancouver International Airport's Class Charlie control zone. The airport code for Vancouver International is CYVR, Charlie Yankee Victor Romeo. However, they also have bases in the Vancouver Harbor, Nanaimo, Salt Spring Island, and now Victoria. Sea Air has been in operation for about 40 years. They have 7 Caravans and 6 Beavers to the best of my knowledge. The Cessna Caravans are all standard 208 models with Pratt & Whitney PT6-114A model engines producing 675 shaft horsepower. They have a max gross weight of about 8,500 pounds with a useful load of roughly 3,000 pounds. I believe Sea Air is upgrading a few of their machines to the new -140 867 horsepower engines. All of the Caravans are equipped with either Whipline 8000s or Whipline 8750 straight floats. No amphibious models. Sea Air has 3 or 4 piston Beavers and 2 turbo Beavers. If you're not familiar with the Beaver, it's an iconic Canadian bush plane made by de Havilland. I'm not sure of the exact numbers on the Beavers, but they seat 6 or 7 passengers and have a reputation for getting into and out of tight spots. Since I'd had previous experience in a wheeled Caravan, the transition into a floated Caravan wasn't terribly difficult. I knew the plane. A turboprop airplane has some similar characteristics to a constant speed piston airplane, in the sense that it has a power lever, a prop lever, and a mixture control, called the condition lever. However, the Pratt & Whitney PT6 has a few different engine instruments, such as torque, ITT, and NG. Torque is like manifold pressure, ITTs are kind of like EGTs, and NGs are like RPM. However, there's also a prop RPM instrument. NGs tell you how fast the compressor section of the turbine is turning in percent, where the prop RPM tells you how fast the prop is turning. The cruising speed in the Caravan is about 140 knots, and the approach speed is 75 to 80 knots on short final. However, I found 85 knots still to be a little fast when transitioning into the flare in most situations, and tended to be closer to 75 knots. Vancouver Harbor is usually full of boats and swell, although there wasn't many boaters on this day. One aspect of flying a turboprop float plane compared to a piston float plane is that the turboprop has beta and reverse. Beta is when the propeller has neutral thrust. Beta and reverse took a little getting used to on the water. It was very useful around the dock. You are always supposed to dock into the wind, but as all you commercial seaplane pilots know, that doesn't always happen. When you have a tailwind and a strong current in the same direction, you need to take speed into the dock to maintain rudder authority. Reverse thrust is really nice to have in this scenario to slow you down once you reach the dock. It's also really nice to have reverse thrust in super rough water to limit the amount of pounding the airplane takes once you're on the water. You can really slow yourself down in a hurry. While the transition into the floated Caravan from the wheeled Caravan didn't propose a super steep learning curve, the transition from mountain freshwater lakes to an ocean environment certainly did. Tides and currents, ocean and ferry swell, and ocean winds have great potential to severely ruin your day. I had a lot to learn in this department, and I was humbled on several occasions. I won't get into all the fine details about what I wish I'd known prior to operating a seaplane in an ocean environment. There was a lot that I learned, and I think I can do a whole episode on it. So I'll save what I learned about the ocean for a possible future episode. I'd also like to do an episode sometime on the operation of the float plane beaching gear. That's the funny looking truck that puts and pulls the airplanes into and out of the water. What do you call this kind of truck? Beaching gear. I flew the Caravan all summer long, starting in May and finishing mid-September. I loved it. I did lots of flights northwest of Vancouver Island. I also did lots of flights to the Tofino area, as well as some flights to some of Sea Air's scheduled destinations, such as Nanaimo, Salt Spring Island, and Vancouver Harbor. Sea Air services a lot of remote salmon fishing lodges. A few of them I went to are up in the Rivers Inlet area. I know a lot of you pilots probably like to fish. If you're looking for a good fishing trip, you may want to have a look up there. As far as floatplane experiences available to out-of-towners go, there are a variety of applications where you might want to charter a floatplane in the area. In the Vancouver area, from about mid-June to September, there are lots of seaplane operators offering scenic tours. You can also jump aboard a scheduled flight to Vancouver Island rather than take the ferry. Destinations such as Victoria and Salt Spring Island are always hotspots for tourists in the summer months too. If you are more the outdoor adventure type, there is lots of ocean salmon fishing to be had on the west coast, where the best transportation option is by seaplane. I frequented 3 fishing lodges up near Port Hardy. The 3 fishing lodges I flew into up there are Sportsman's Fishing Club, Duncanby Lodge, and Legacy Lodge. You can check them out if you're keen to fish on the ocean. Rivers Inlet is located about 50 miles north of Port Hardy, which is on Vancouver Island, and about 50 miles south of Bella Bella, which is located on the east coast of Campbell Island in the Central Coast region of British Columbia. Okay, have a look at that. This is a place called Sportsman's up in Rivers Inlet. And then here's the Caravan right here. It's tucked right into this corner right here. There you go. There are definitely other fishing lodges up here. I just didn't fly into them. There are a few up near Calvert Island that Sea Air flies into as well. How much would it cost you? Well, it's roughly 6,000 to 7,000 Canadian dollars for 5 days and 4 nights. This includes your return flight in the Caravan from Vancouver. It's not cheap, but you'll certainly have a great time. If you're not from the area, the scenery will blow you away. And if you've never been in a seaplane, you'll love that too. Legacy Lodge, Rivers Inlet. If you have some deep pockets, you might also want to look into Clayoquot Wilderness Lodge near Tofino, BC. Super high-end wilderness retreat serviced by seaplanes. It's quite a scenic flight into Clayoquot Wilderness Lodge from YVR. However, due to its proximity to the ocean and the mountains, getting in there can be somewhat trying in bad weather. Fog and cloud can make you pucker up a little some days. Regardless, this is one of my favorite places to fly into. Clayoquot Wilderness Lodge is located about 15 miles north-northeast of Tofino. Tofino is a laid-back tourist town on the west coast of Vancouver Island, popular for surfing and wild natural scenery such as sandy beaches, inlets, and rainforests. You can easily catch a seaplane flight from Vancouver to Tofino during the summer months.
Gnarly, bro.
So, over the course of the season, I did 259 pick hours on the Caravan. PIC stands for Pilot in Command. I did 293 takeoffs and landings, 145.1 hours of cross-country flying, and flew 7 different Caravans. How do I know all this with such precise detail? I'll tell you. I was a web developer before I started flying. So over the last year, I decided to build my own digital pilot logbook. It's nothing special, but it works. I just wanted something that resembled a traditional paper pilot logbook and allowed me to log flights in the plane quickly. It's just a web app. This means if you want to use it, you'll have to access it through a browser like Safari or Google Chrome. The web address is METARAUTO.com. I've definitely made some mistakes along the way during my career as a pilot. One of them was not flying enough at night during my time building. Another was not starting some sort of digital logging sooner. So if you're a new pilot, I certainly recommend starting to log digitally. You can also use the digital pilot logbook to quickly log after your flight and then fill out your paper logbook when you have time. Or you can just use the print option. If you're a pilot and want to give my logbook a try, it's super inexpensive, actively maintained, and helps me to continue to create aviation content and continue to further the conversation about mental health and its relationship to our physical health. No pilot medical, no flying. So exploring the connection is important. I would love to continue to create aviation content, but don't always have the means to do so. With your help, hopefully I can. I'm open to suggestions too, so if you think the logbook needs more features, let me know. I put a bunch of coupon codes in the description. They're first come, first served. So if you want to sign up, grab a coupon code and that'll give you a bunch of free access. Oh, and when you verify your email, make sure you check your spam and junk folders if you don't see the email right away. There's enough coupon codes for each subscriber. If you don't get one, send me a message and I'd be happy to hook you up. You can reach me through the support page at metarauto.com or through my awareness website at onenutnightmare.com. If you're a new pilot thinking about getting into bush flying float planes, I promise you won't regret it. The best way to get started is to get your PPL on floats or get your float endorsement right after you get your PPL and fly floats during your commercial pilot time building. This will set you up much better for a float job if you choose to go down that path at the start of your flying career. Although expensive, set yourself up with as many ratings as you can early in your career. You should also get your multi-engine instrument rating regardless of whether you think you're going to need it. I would get this after you've done your CPL flight test, as you will have developed more skill before learning how to fly a bigger airplane with 2 engines by the instruments. All this said, float flying is a seasonal gig, so you'll need a plan to get through the off-season. I'm not sure what your plan looks like, but make sure you have one. In this line of work, you always need a plan. If you've watched a few of my previous videos, you may know that I previously had an IBD diagnosis as well as a cancer diagnosis. I've rebounded from both and take no prescribed medication. You can check out more at onenutnightmare.com. It was these challenges that led me to start questioning our current perspective on disease. Why do we treat the mind and body as separate entities? Are immune system related diseases random and unexplained? Do they present more regularly in people with certain personality traits? And how does one end up with those unique personality traits? My guess is some sort of trauma. But trauma doesn't have to be caused by a terrible accident, an abusive father, or the loss of a loved one, etc. Our culture normalizes some types of trauma, such as labeling school or sibling bullying as kids being kids, or saying to a child, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" Trauma can also be caused by what didn't happen and should have, such as neglect. You might not even know trauma exists in you. While the trauma itself can't cause disease, the unrelieved and ongoing chronic stress certainly can. Somehow, we need to identify and release the trauma. The body and mind should be treated as one. They're not separable. My goal is to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can be. I think the better we can understand the body and the mind as dependent on each other, the longer we can keep flying. The key to longevity is figuring out what traumas exist inside of us and then removing them. Of course, we still need to maintain our physical health through exercise and proper eating. But if we're not taking care of the mind, we might as well be eating tubs of ice cream and watching Netflix all day. These are just my thoughts, of course. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm a pilot. I like creating videos about flying. I wish I could do more of it. However, I don't always have the means to do so. Your support can help. You can support my mission by watching my videos, and if you're a pilot, signing up for my digital pilot logbook at METAR AUTO.com. If you're a flight operation in need of someone to help with video and web marketing in the off-season, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to really try and get another episode out in the next few weeks. I'll be giving out some more coupon codes for METAR AUTO, so make sure you tune back in. I'd like to be able to create more videos about flying. With your help and support, I'll be able to do that. Stay healthy, everyone.